make a little scratch tonight on the Cowboys game, but he is the type of player that in the same game or even the same drive can wind up on SportsCenter's top 10 and SportsCenter's not top 10.
He's very much the oh no, 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 oh yes, yes, yes type of player. I watched him when he got traded over. I watched his last game against the Bills, and he made a couple of those like, oh no, oh gosh, what a throw. He, like I said, very excited about him. I think they need to figure out. I think they really, really do need to figure out about him in this preseason. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him play 3/4 of the game and then Will Grier take the fourth, that kind of thing. I just think
he needs the reps, man. He does.
Yeah, and I wonder, to me, we saw some around the league. We've seen some of these teams play their starters a little bit, and I think where you're going to see starters being played really is in the offensive and defensive line.
For the Cowboys tonight,
yeah, and maybe some in the secondary, and then also with the linebackers. I think that's going to be something that just by the way that the numbers that they have, and some of the injuries that they've had to deal with, they've got some guys who are going to have to probably play a little bit.
So really, it's just no Dak and no skill guys. You're not going to see Ferguson.
Yeah.
Probably not going to see, of course, Lamb or Pickens.
Yeah.
Even Turpin. Don't really need to see him anymore.
Sure.
Mingo, Tolbert. Tolbert seems very safe on the roster, but he's a guy that I would imagine you'll see out there playing.
I told you the other day when we were out on a remote there, Jake's, I said that to me, I feel like that the receivers, when you start to talk about Lamb, Pickens, Turpin, sure. Everybody else I think needs to play. And I say this as everybody else needs to play because I want to evaluate Joe Milton too. I'm not interested in putting players around Joe Milton. I want to this is why you have a guy like a Lyle Collins. This is why you have Charles, the veteran guard. Sadiq Charles. This is why you have a Adeniji. You have veteran guys that could give Joe Milton and these running backs a fair evaluation. Some things need to fill out to be figured out about what's going on at the fourth, fifth, and maybe potentially sixth wide receiver spot. Dallas might be in a situation where they have to go light at a couple of different spots just because of injuries at certain positions and have to carry some guys. Maybe they're going to have to carry extra corners. Maybe they're going to have to carry extra defensive linemen. There's spots that they're going to have to probably carry, and you might not be able to keep 6 wide receivers. So I just these receivers need to have the type of game where they show up and all of a sudden now it's like, okay, that's a good game. Well, let's see what happens against the Ravens and then the Falcons. Find a way to make this team and give these coaches and front office members a reason to keep you on the team. These players cut themselves. If you're not producing in practice or you're not producing in the game, you cut yourself. You're the reason. It's not, well, they got rid of me. No, you did not do enough to be on the 53-man roster.
Yeah, the receivers are going to be interesting tonight for sure, especially Trayshawn Holden.
Sure.
First chance to look at him, undrafted out of Oregon.
Absolutely.
He's had a really nice camp, and we've seen guys in years past.
He could be battling Brooks right now for that fifth or for that sixth receiver spot. Well, you mentioned Tolbert and all. I don't think they released Tolbert, but gosh, he and Mingo are in that battle right now. Who is, I think personally, the third receiver is Turpin as far as the roster sits. 11 personnel stuff, we'll see. They've been switching out Turpin. They've been switching out Tolbert. Mingo's got a little look. I think right now, if they had to go play 11 personnel, I think they would put Turpin out on that field.
Yeah, he was a focal point of the offense when we were out there in Oxnard for sure, and he was lighting it up. I was really excited to see what Turpin was bringing to the table there and being able to benefit from Pickens and Lamb on the field. It's going to open up great opportunities for guys like Turpin and Ferguson for sure, and even, of course, Tolbert and Mingo. I'm just interested to see, one, how much improvement has Joe Milton gotten in terms of just the understanding of the offense pre-snap? How many times did they have to just blow the whistle dead because they couldn't get guys lined up right and all that stuff when we were out there?
Yeah, there were times when, before you guys did come out the first week of practice, there were times where they would try and go quick and get up at the line of scrimmage, and then they'd have to stop.
Yeah.
Because Joe, that right now, that's not Joe's strength.
No, I get it.
That's just
and to be fair, you're talking about an offense now that's going to have a lot of moving parts.
Absolutely.
And maybe tonight, because it's so vanilla, maybe they won't have as much of the motion and things going down, make it a little bit easier on them.
It will not be motion or anything like that. I think it's going to be pretty basic in how they're going to play, and maybe that play right to the strengths of Joe Milton.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to watch Phil Maffa tote the rock tonight, Broaddus.
Yeah, he should get plenty of opportunities to be able to do that. Deuce Vaughn is back practicing, so I guarantee you'll probably see some Deuce Vaughn get some opportunity as well.
It's become a preseason tradition.
Well, unfortunately for him, I mean, he was playing at a very nice level, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt. Now he's missing a week of practice and coming back. So we'll see. I think there were some questions about him initially, where he stood on the roster, and so he just doesn't play special teams. He's a guy that's either going to have to be the backup or he's going to have to be the starter because he just doesn't play special teams. And so to carry him as the third back or the fourth back, you're not dressing him if he's that.
Yeah, you got to be an all three phases kind of guy. I think that's what helps Tolbert, does it not?
I think that maybe with Tolbert, when he initially started to be the guy, that he was playing more special team stuff. You can clearly keep an eye on tonight. Special teams is kind of an area we all just don't focus on. We all just don't think this is a break. But in the preseason, it means a little bit more. Just keep an eye on these receivers and what point in time and what special teams are they playing on. Are they gunners on the punt team? Are they blockers on the kickoff return? Are they, what are their positions and how many snaps are they playing doing this? So because these guys are going to have to figure that out for sure.
Yeah, and then of course you have the stud rookies, guys like Tyler Booker, guys like Donovan Ezeraku. Hopefully those guys flash tonight in a big way.
Need to play. Yeah, and like I say, tonight is going to be they need to be better. They need to show that they can do things running the football, like we talked about, pad level, winning the line of scrimmage, things that we saw them do at training at camp when they were working one-on-one against each other. Now with the Rams, another opponent that we'll probably see the Rams probably won't have Verse and guys like out there like that.
Yeah, thank God Nate Thomas can have a sigh of relief not having to go up against Jared Verse.
There you go.
Yeah, one of the best in the business. All right, we're just getting started here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys as we inch closer and closer to the first preseason kickoff of the season. We're live on the FanCam Twitch and YouTube. By the way, we got that back up and running, 877-881-1053. Would love to hear from you. Let's go inside the star with our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt, next right here on The Fan. All right, we're under 3 hours to kick off preseason game number 1 for your Dallas Cowboys, taking on the Rams in Los Angeles SoFi Stadium. Let's welcome in our Cowboys insider Bobby Belt here to assist with the proceedings. Bob, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you guys?
We're great, man. We're great. We're ready for some Cowboys football here. That's for sure. What is the first thing on your mind tonight? Is it just the obvious Joe Milton and see how he's slinging that thing? How much do you expect to see him play, by the way?
I'll tell you what's on my mind mainly, and I think we'll see a decent amount of Joe Milton tonight. What I'm really going to miss this evening is my favorite thing is on these preseason games, and I'm going to make sure I get one of them in this year, is sitting in there with Brian and watching Brian watch it and take his notes. And watching Brian taking a football game is one of my favorite things because of just how much you can still see the old scout in him. It's always it's an enjoyable thing to watch him sit
Thank
there
you,
and
Robert.
consume it and
that.
all the things that get him worked up and things that get him excited. So that's the great thing. You got a treat tonight, Eric, with that. But I think in general, this is the first preseason game is always, it's like, okay, this is exciting. We're getting the introduction back into football. We get to see some of this stuff play out. But then it's always, I feel like, routinely, not just because of, it's the first one. I mean, that's partly, but it is routinely the sloppiest football game you will see all year in any sort of context will be whatever that first preseason game is. It's usually ugly. It's not very entertaining at the end of the day, but it's football. It's back, and you're able to make some evaluations. And so I think a lot of this tonight is going to be stuff that you want to see with the running backs, things you want to see play out in the receiver room, how maybe they thin out or how the rotations play and some of the depth plays. And then obviously the stuff with the rookie class, guys who've been impressive like Donovan Ezraku, Tyler Booker, and then whatever we'll see from Joe Milton.
Hey, Bobby, I appreciate the compliment, but I also want to give you a compliment as well. And
okay,
for the fact that
exchanging pleasantries.
No,
here
and I'm
early.
serious because the preseason game, you're absolutely right. Where we can evaluate it from that and kind of get an idea how they're playing. I want to ask you about the whole thing with Micah Parsons, and you're one of the few people who have actually talked to David Mulugeta at this whole. Is this thing salvageable when you look at it overall?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a kind word and a lot of zeros on a paycheck will go a long way to smoothing things over. And I think that it's just a matter of, big egos that are a little bruised, or guys who want to be told, hey, we love you. We think you're great. The Cowboys have this tendency, and a lot of teams do this, so I'm not holding the Cowboys solely responsible for this. The Cowboys have a tendency to enter contract negotiations like somebody does when they're looking at buying a used car. And they walk around the car and they go, well, that's dinged. There's a little scratch there on that. When was the last time the timing belt was replaced? Ooh, I don't like that. I'm going to have to pay to get that replaced myself. So we might have to lower the price of this a little bit. And that usually gets guys a little, in their feelings a little bit, where they'll go, I thought I was a stud. I thought I was one of your leaders. Sure. I thought you wanted me to be here for forever. And I think naturally with those sort of things, that exists within their negotiations across the board. When you add to that the extra layer of the he said type of back and forth that we've gotten over what the context of their meetings have been, why they won't call people back, why they won't engage in things, all of that makes this a really complicated, unique situation. We went over it this week. With the trade request going in, the Cowboys have the history of just not granting them. Yeah. The last trade request they granted to anybody was Alexander Wright. And that was 1992. And that would be, that means that literally every Super Bowl ring Jerry Jones has is more recent than the last trade request he granted. So yeah, I think we're kind of at a standstill in a lot of ways. I think that it can still be fixed. I think it can still be salvaged. The only thing is, if you're not able to get it done by the start of the season, and he just ends up either holding out or playing on the fifth-year option, I think the odds of a divorce go way up for next spring.
All right, Bobby, the next thing I want to say is, or ask you, did Micah Parsons get trapped in a situation of Shark Tank?
Like he was in there making his pitch and he didn't realize the kind of person he was going across from, or how skilled they were.
I say this because I think Micah Parsons is very savvy. I think Micah Parsons also looked at this as, wow, I'm going toe to toe here with one of the most powerful people in professional sports, and maybe your ego takes over a little bit there. And I would love to know if there was further contract negotiation or talks, put it that way.
Well,
I would love to know that. I would love to know, just real quick if I could, Bob, I would love to know if Micah Parsons walked out of there feeling good and then talked to David Mulugheta that night, and David Mulugheta might have told him, well, ask him for this then, or ask him for maybe a second round of something like that. Does that?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if.
And maybe that's why Jerry's so mad. Maybe that's why Jerry's so mad, because he felt like that he was on an episode with Shark Tank and he was dealing with Micah for part of his business.
Well, and these are all the things that I think we can look at and say, that's plausible. That's plausible what's happened if you look at these sort of the context.
Sure.
It's plausible to me that Jerry had this conversation, looked at it as a real negotiation. Micah Parsons never looked at it as a real negotiation, and there was just miscommunication there.
But kept negotiating, though.
No. Yeah. Brian, here's just the way I look at it. I think that it's also plausible to say Micah thought he could go in there, handle the negotiation, found out later that what he had negotiated potentially was not good,
suitable,
and then felt a little bit of pressure to not necessarily say I'm going to own up to that. Instead just like, well, I didn't even know we were negotiating, to be honest. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying either way, but I'm just saying these are all these different options we have of how the meeting could have been misinterpreted, or how these back and forths and maybe a second conversation, whatever those were. I think all of that makes it. I think a lot of this is just people talking past each other and discussing a lot of the same things and not realizing they were just calling it different. And that's why I think it's just the only way it gets fixed is if they just sit down and they talk to each other. And right now, nobody's, blinking in this standoff to actually try to reconcile those things. I mean, we can think about it in our own personal lives with anything, where when you have an issue with somebody, or you had a conversation that didn't go the way you thought it would, and then when you walk away from it, you hear, well, this person took it this way. And well, no, I thought they were doing this. And it becomes a little like, there's like this building tension that when you finally go sit down with that person again, a lot of times you realize there was never an issue. We just had a misunderstanding, and here it is. It's just you've got to be willing to swallow the pride on both sides, or on whoever side is holding it up.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to swallow the pride and say, let's have the sit down and clear it up, because I'm sure if we just sit down and clear it up, we can get this done.
Yeah. I just think Jerry, like I said, I think Jerry is upset because maybe Micah tried to play big boy at the table with him. And
I think that's a distinct possibility. I think I don't know with certainty. The problem is because neither one of them are talking to each other right now. It doesn't seem like.
Sure.
I think it's really hard to get a handle on what's accurate about how the discussions went, because they're so split from each other right now, and it's difficult to kind of get them on the same messaging.
Cowboys insider Bobby Belt with us here on The Fan. Do you expect Micah to be in attendance tonight, just seeing him on the sidelines, being out there like he's been for most of camp?
That's a good question. I would say I'm going to guess probably not. I don't know. I mean, I'll just say flat out I don't know.
Yeah,
but
no problem.
I would guess that probably not, because I would think, Brian, was it a couple years ago where I think they were traveling to somewhere like L.A. It was not a very far trip.
Right.
But like somebody who wasn't in a contract negotiation still was Tyron Smith, and Tyron Smith was dealing with a bad back.
Yeah.
Which officially, Micah Parsons was dealing with a bad back. And they just said, we didn't want him traveling with a back for a preseason game. And so I would just... It's
sitting in a seat, though. I think it was an airplane seat they were worried about, you know? Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he wasn't there, and that would be the reason why. He would just say something like, well, I'm dealing with the back, and I didn't think it was a good idea for me to travel, on the bus an hour and a half to do this, or whatever else it would be.
Gotcha, no problem. Okay, so who's on the short list of guys that you're interested in watching? Obviously, you have the big dogs, the Bookers of the world, as a Raku. Does anybody else come to mind for you? I mean, I'm excited to watch Phil Maffa run the ball.
I mean, I think Milton is obviously the top thing. Quarterbacks are always the big thing in these games. Brian knows. Brian's talked about it. That David Hellman's talked about. Everybody's talked about that 2016 preseason game against the Rams when Dak went out there.
Incredible.
In that first game, and he played it like
it was a different dude.
Energy in the building. Yeah,
it was a different dude out there. Yeah,
and I'm really interested to see. All right, Joe Milton stepped up in games last year that he was asked to, whether it be preseason or the one regular season game he got. Is he a gamer? Are we going to see him come out here and we're going to be like, wow, all these issues that felt like he had at the line of scrimmage and getting guys in place and doing different things. It looks better out here for some reason. So I think that's going to be a big thing to watch. I'm really interested to see how the corner room starts shaking out. They've got so many injuries. They've got so many questions. I want to see who steps up and who kind of separates themselves and, who shows that, hey, this is somebody that we might really have as a viable option in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, the guy Zion Childress is a guy that has been kind of standing out throughout camp a little bit. Yeah. Do you feel like they're
Neon Keemon Hall? You got him too from North Texas.
That's true. Keemon Hall and Zion Childress, both those guys have an opportunity here, and especially in that nickel spot. Has Childress kind of perked people up within the organization? You think with what he's done on the practice field?
Yeah, I think Childress is somebody who's definitely. We talk about this. I think every year you go into camp, and then after you've been in camp for a little while, somebody pops up who it's like they were not even on my radar to make the roster, and now they're in contention. And then similarly, somebody who you thought was safe, you get in camp and you're like, no, okay, this isn't looking right. Childress is a guy who I think is a good option has popped when you talk to people and just said, hey, he's got a shot. Antoine Woods popped at practice early in camp one year, and it's like, hey, this guy we didn't think anything of. Like he's going to make the roster now. I think Childress is just somebody who's in that discussion, specifically with the injuries they have and the fact that it allows Deron Bland to comfortably play outside if he needs to. Because Bland, he's a good soldier, he'll do it, but he's talked about he does not want to play the nickel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's made that pretty clear.
He's pretty adamant about that. He's pretty adamant about that for sure.
Which I get it. That's another guy who's wanting to get paid, who doesn't want to spend his year proving it playing in the nickel, where that's not where guys typically get paid at that position.
Bobby Belt with us here on The Fan. Where are you at on the interior of the defensive line? Of course, you have Osa, Solomon Thomas, guys like that. But in terms of guys that are going to be on the field tonight, has anybody really stood out and impressed? I feel like that's still a huge area of competition.
It's a big area of competition. One thing we know about Aaron White-Cotton and previous Matt Eberflus schemes and, his mentor Rod Marinelli, they like heavy defensive line rotation. They like going 8-9 guys a lot of times, and really just rotating those guys in on the interior and on the edge rush. And so I think on the interior, yeah, there's still a lot to figure out, identify, see what you want to do. Jay Toye is obviously a guy who's one of the few one technique type of bodies that you have that you might be able to run with. So I'm going to be interested to see how much he maybe is able to, or guys like that over the course of the next few weeks are able to assert that position. The problem also is just they've already had Mozzie Smith drop weight. They're looking to make him more of a penetrating player. This is kind of going to be, I think, what the scheme looks like, is you're going to get guys who want to rush upfield. And then it's going to be a little bit more. I know everybody's worried about the one technique and how that's going to impact the run defense, but it feels like this defensive line just is not going to prioritize it as much, just like it had in years past where, I heard Todd Archer talking with you guys this week.
Yeah.
They're out there with Terrell McClain and Malik Collins in 2016 as their defensive tackles, and that was what they were supposed to get by with. This is a defensive line that's going to attack, and they're going to want to get upfield, and they're going to try and rush.
Hey, Bobby, do you feel like as we work through these 3 preseason games, do you feel like the die has already been cast for Mozzie Smith and where he's at, or does he still have a chance to kind of salvage? It just hasn't looked great. It hasn't looked great at the for
it's interesting.
Him. And by the way, Bobby, I just got word that Micah Parsons is with the team.
Okay, good. So I think that on the Mozzie Smith front, I won't say who because I don't know that they've said this publicly outside of just standing on the sideline, but I was standing on the sideline next to one of the other reporters, and they had looked at Mozzie Smith and they said, pointed at him, they're like, is that just the most uninterested kind of body language you've seen on the field since who? And like we were talking about a first round pick.
Yeah.
And the name we came up with was, it looks a lot on the field right there like Taco. Like in terms of
I just think he's beat down, Bobby. I think it's hard for him.
Beaten down.
Yeah, it's hard for him to play football. He's tired of all this. He's just tired.
Yeah.
You know?
No, 100%. I think that if you look at that and you see him out there, he just looks like a guy who it's like, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I liked it. I like the physicality. Whatever else. Like, I mean, this has been my game, and I want to hit people. Like, that was what he came in as a rookie saying. But I think it's really hard, for him. And I think that they've had to try to work to keep his head up. I think Jeff Skinny deserves a ton of credit.
Oh, absolutely.
For last year.
Yeah.
For last year, kind of salvaging him as best he can. But at the end of the day, he's got to make it work for himself. I mean, if you want to talk about, again, a comparison, we're talking about trade requests, if you want to bring that all back full circle. Brian, you remember Kevin Brooks, I think it was, the defensive tackle from Michigan.
Way back in the day, yeah, sure do.
Yeah, that was almost the same sort of circumstances Mozzie's been through. That it was a guy they picked 17, got here, just never felt like he was in the right place, head drooped down a lot, and eventually won it out, and the Cowboys said, fine. As soon as Jimmy got here, fine, you are on your way out the door, don't need you around anymore. It feels like a similar trajectory as fast forward 40 years later, another defensive tackle picked in the middle of the first round that has just had trouble keeping his confidence up and keeping his head up. This has been an issue. Confidence has been an issue for a lot of guys. A lot of these young players in recent years, for some reason, that's something the Cowboys have to figure out. Because Jalen Tolbert talked about having his confidence broken very early. Mozzie Smith, we know it's existed for. We've seen it with various others. And it's not just a Dallas problem. Kyer Elam has talked very openly about having his confidence destroyed in Buffalo. Yeah. And so I think it's really important that if you can't start with that base right there of just being a confident football player and somebody confident and able to hold their head up through those challenges, and then we might be at that turning point very early right now where we're saying, hey, Tyler Guyton's kind of at that point. We need to make sure that that's somebody who's confident in what he's doing. Then you don't have the very basic foundation to launch off and become the football player that your attributes and your skill set says you can be.
Thanks for the time, Bob. Enjoy the game, brother.
I love you all.
Love you more. There goes Cowboys insider Bobby Belt with us here on the official pregame show of America's team. Under 2.5 hours to kick off now. Preseason game number 1. The creators of Buffalo bring you NFL casino games. Kick off with America's team on and off the reels with Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Do you have a gambling problem? Please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over. All right, we go behind enemy lines with DeMarco Farr, Rams radio analyst, coming up at the top of the hour. But let's take a look around the NFL camps and preseason and who you most looking forward to seeing tonight. 877-881-1053. That's next right here on The Fan. Just over 2 hours to kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. Get your mind right, get your body ready. Preseason game number 1. We got Joe Milton. I got to be honest with you. I think this will be one of the more entertaining preseasons that we can remember, just knowing that Joe Milton is the guy that's spinning it. It's not a bunch of, hey, Trey Lance doesn't know how to play football. It's not the very boring Cooper Rush taking snaps. This is a guy that's going to be all over the place, highlight reel type plays, also maybe some blooper-esque plays. But it's gonna be entertaining from a Joe Milton standpoint. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, you can get them lined up properly. I'm wondering how many timeouts are they going to burn tonight just because they can't get them lined up. I think that's a fair question to ask.
If you play vanilla football, this shouldn't be a problem.
Just line up.
Just line up and play. Hand the ball off or run the waggle the boot, or let him air a couple out. Just throw a vertical ball or two. Just I think he'll be fine from this thing. It just. But what could be different, though, is if the Rams do something. I think this is where coaches kind of talk to each other before the game and say, listen, hey, we're not really going to game plan for you. We're going to try and play this thing pretty straight up. I'd appreciate it if you just wouldn't blitz the crap out of us, because we're not going to be ready for that. So there's a kind of a gentleman's agreement that these coaches go through. And maybe it's a thing where, Shotty tells McVay that, hey, I'd like to play you this way. And McVay would say, listen, but I need some work with my young guys with some blitz stuff. And Shotty's going to go, well, I really can't pick you up, so it'll probably work. There'll be that kind of discussion. I think that's why, when I was talking to people in the front office and the coaching staff, that they want to problem solve on their feet, meaning problem solve is like they got hit with some twist stunts the other day. They got hit with some linebacker twist stunts. They got hit with a slot blitz the other day. They got home. Those things are all going to work when you don't game plan for somebody. And Shotty's trying to tell him, listen, I'm trying to get ready for the Eagles, and I don't want to give Vic Fangio anything of how we're picking stuff up. And I think he's comfortable. Like, if I have a negative play, I have a negative play. It's not going to matter to me right now.
Yeah. I appreciate that from Schottenheimer, because we talked about that.
That's the one advantage he has over the Eagles right now, is they really don't know what he's going to do offensively.
Element of surprise.
Yeah.
I imagine Dick Fangio is going to be scrolling Twitter looking at all of our videos that we were posting when we were in Oxnard, just to try and get a glimpse of what it is
somebody
they're trying
in the organization
to do.
has, for sure.
Yeah, that's how they play
Put
it.
those training camp lives together and see if you can kind of piece it together.
I want to know who the Tolo is that's going all freaking out from a game day spread standpoint tonight. Is anybody coming out of the gate saying, hey, you know what, it's preseason, but I'm in mid-season form.
No,
I got the meat church and I'm ready to party.
I'm telling you this, the fact that we have a West Coast game and this bad boy ain't rolling off at 9 o'clock our time tonight,
that helps.
We caught a break. I think NFL teams nowadays are going to more of a, listen, let's play more day football so we can get you back to the camp quicker. Teams are asking, hey, will you please play me during the day? Will you play me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Will you play me at 3? Especially these teams that have like the ability to have some of the dome stadiums and stuff like that, where you don't have to worry about the heat and humidity as much. But I think there's a lot of teams that are agreeing to, let's play a football game at 2:30 in the afternoon and see what happens.
Yeah, thank God Artie Moreno doesn't own the Rams.
No, there would be. Yeah, we'd be.
we'd be kicking off at 9 o'clock Central.
When the Cowboys were out there, remember how many of those 9 o'clock starts we had? Where it was Seattle.
It's always it's the Chargers or it's the Rams or whatever. Those West Coasters where they usually start because of the Oxnard training camp. So these things can get pretty late on you. Hey, just want to remind you, whether you're a backyard griller, Cowboys tailgater, or a Pitmaster Pro, Meat Church has everything you need. Visit meatchurch.com, your ultimate destination for the finest rubs, seasonings, and barbecue supplies. Matt Pittman and Meat Church, the official Pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys. It was cool to see him out there doing some social.
Yeah, he was.
Feeding the team in Oxnard this past week.
He was. Matt does a great job. Matt loves pulling that smoker around the country and firing it up for folks. He does a great job. I was really happy to be. I was on one of his crawfish videos one time. He used some of my ideas and liked the idea of how we prepared some crawfish. So.
You completely reinvented the way he thinks about doing crawfish boils. That's a tip of the cap. That's good to have on the Broaddus chef resume.
Listen, I learned from people in Louisiana about how to to kind of make crawfish boils a little bit different. And I appreciate Matt taking the time to try it. And he's saying, man, this is a game changer for me. So tip of the cap to him as well.
Yeah, a couple of pros chopping it up from a food standpoint. I do dig that.
Anybody going all in? Or are we just kind of being, are we being vanilla and vanilla with what we're doing tonight?
I think everybody's in preseason form, man. I got nobody texting in saying, hey, I put my hand up and I'm proud of what my spread is tonight. I'll tell you what, Sean Sharif's getting it done. He had the freezer blowout on him, so he just cooked everything that was in there. He's going to be eating brisket, burgers, chicken off the bone. Wow. Basically,
needs to bring some of that in.
Yeah, I know, dude. That the Sharif house tonight is the house to be watching the game.
Yeah,
he's going to be killing it at a high level. Okay, let's look around the league a little bit. You have some preseason stuff going down. I just want to acknowledge with the Giants playing today, Abdul Carter.
Look good against Buffalo?
Oh, man. He played 6 snaps. 3 snaps were 3 sacks. That'd be impressive. No, he had 3 snaps where he was rushing the passer. All 3 rushes resulted in a pressure and a hurry.
There you go.
And when you go even a touch deeper on that, all 3 reps resulted in a pressure that came in under 2.5 seconds, according to Next Gen.
There you go.
So that's the Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett sort of quick pressure standard. He's already coming out of the gates like an animal. I guess there was a lot to do about the foot issue that he was apparently dealing with. And maybe that's much to do about nothing, because I've seen him throughout camp, seeing some clips. He's terrorizing the Giants offensive line. And then he just did it. And a couple of them were on Deion Dawkins. Yeah. Starting tackle for the Bills. So it wasn't even like he was going up against a bunch of scrubs the whole time, but he's clearly jumping off the screen. And the Giants, no one's buying the Giants to do anything special this year at all. Heck, they have one of the hardest schedules in the league as well. It's going to be a tough year for the Giants, but that pass rush, my goodness, that pass rush is going to be the real deal. Abdul Carter, a big reason why. Jackson Dart was spinning it today as well.
How quickly you think we're going to see Jackson Dart?
Yeah, I think it'll be, I would guess for sure November. But I think there's a chance you see him as early as October. I just don't know what type of, do they want to, it's going to be Russell Wilson, and then do they want to give Jameis Winston a couple of games?
This is the problem.
He's a fan favorite. Yeah. Everybody loves Jameis.
Yeah, this is the problem right here, is the fact that you get a coaching staff and a general manager that kind of have one foot in the parking lot. And if do you want to play a quarterback for the future to get somebody else, get him ready for somebody else, or are you going to try and save your own season if you really do believe that Jackson Dart is better than any of the other quarterbacks you have? So that's a very, very difficult situation, because the general manager and the head coach are tied together, and the general manager could say, "Listen, bro, if the only chance of us saving our season
is showing that we had something in Dart.
We got something in Dart." And so, how quickly do you think you could get to him? I don't need to know what Russell Wilson's not saving us. Jameis is not saving us. Maybe we need to think about playing this kid and showing the ownership that we could coach this guy up and he can maybe win some games for us.
Dart, 12 of 19, $154 and a touchdown.
He's a good quarterback.
So
it really is.
Pretty strong debut there for him. Okay, we poked the bear a little bit. Now we got some people chiming in. Let's see. We have 432, smoked a brisket. I'm ready. We got 469. This is Brian from Aubrey.
Okay.
Having fried pork chop sandos for the game tonight.
You know what?
That's how you set. That's a tone setter for the season right there. Kudos to you, Brian.
Remember, I did that for you guys one time. We did the fried pork chop sandwiches here. I did them on Texas toast, and so to me,
I think that's the cheat code right there. That Texas toast is the real deal.
Well, it depends on the thickness of the pork chop too, because to me,
a fried pork chop is undefeated.
Yeah, but like I say, man, you've got to make sure that the thickness of it can be too much. So you have to kind of get the. I kind of tend to go with the thinner cut ones and put them on that Texas toast and kind of pile them up.
Tenderize that bad boy.
Yeah, there you go.
You got 469 with the beef ribs on the smoker, Polish sausage, and chicken wings.
It's hot out there right now for folks to be doing all this, right? I mean, kudos to them. If you're in Texas, kudos to you for getting that done. But man, I'll tell you what, I hope you have the Hope you have the shade and all that, cooking overhead for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It could be tough out there, but hey, this is what we signed up for. I think just the fact that football's back and in the air just has people fired up.
Yeah.
So you're willing to brace the elements. We got 817 Chris, fan phenom fella. He did a great job. He's doing some chicken wings tonight. You got grilling steaks in the 940, and you got a little Marty B's potato bun with the pork chops as well in the 469. So there we go. Now I'm fired up. Yeah. We got some Cowboys fans that are ready to go tonight. All right, let's go behind enemy lines. DeMarco Farr, Rams radio analyst, live from SoFi Stadium as we get you set for kickoff next year on The Fan.
It is race time.
All right, we're 2 hours to kick off preseason game number 1, Cowboys and Rams, SoFi Stadium. We're about to go behind enemy lines with the Super Bowl champion, DeMarco Farr, Rams radio analyst. Looking forward to chopping it up with DeMarco. He was an undrafted free agent, ends up making the team, solid
University of
career.
Washington, I believe.
Super Bowl champion, and that's a guy who probably knows a thing or two about having to show up and show out in a preseason game. No doubt about that. Reliant is proud to power the home of the Dallas Cowboys and the homes of Cowboys fans across Texas. Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys, and we look forward to chatting with DeMarco here in just a moment. But yeah, lots on the line. That's why it is fun this time of year, because you got guys literally fighting for their jobs. Then you have guys like Nate Thomas, who might be starting week 1. Yeah. And so he's going to get probably plenty of run tonight. And
hadn't played a lot of football last couple of years.
Yeah, because he's been banged up, right?
Yeah. Well, he missed the whole entire season last year. So, yeah, and he's getting accustomed again to playing the position at tackle. And, there's been some very good with him. And there's been some where you see the struggle, like we were talking about, the pad level, the knee bend, things like that. As an offensive lineman, there's 65 plays that you got to be good at. You just can't.
I know it sucks because you could have 62 great plays and 3 of them bad enough to ruin a game.
Or you could have 6 plays or be like Chaz Green and just completely fall apart. Those are the kinds of things. But so offensive line play, like I always say, grade them for 65 plays, but those 3 plays that are not good, hopefully it's not getting somebody hurt. Yeah,
and I know they're going vanilla offensively tonight and defensively, but if they can show some semblance of being able to run the football, some semblance of being able to stop the run.
Yeah, just move the ball a little bit tonight. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be encouraging. Where are you at with this running back room, with Blue getting banged up? And
I feel like, though, to me, when you watch some of the things that they're trying to do with the power gap scheme stuff, that Blue and Sanders can handle that part of it. To me, but they've got to figure out, though, like the biggest problem they had the other day was when they tried to second level block some of this stuff, that the Rams did a really nice job of being able to get their linebackers across, and then the movement up front gave them some problems as well. So, if they're not going to, if somebody's going to play toe to toe with them, that plays well with how Dallas could play with those inside players. The tackles are the athletes. Especially with Guyton. Being at left tackle, he's a really good athlete. Steele's a really good athlete. So you could kind of do some things that way. But, they've got to do a little bit better job of making sure secure the down guy. Don't let the movement give them a problem, because there were times where I was told that where all of a sudden that instead of getting on and being hip to hip and pushing that guy and getting second level, that down lineman was able to get off the block. Or the linebacker was able to cross the face, and they didn't really hit square. So, yeah, that's what I'm watching for tonight. If you see, I don't know what color the Rams are wearing tonight. They might be wearing white or blue. Who knows? I could ask and figure that out. But if you see jerseys along the line of scrimmage for both sides, and if you see the Cowboys jerseys and the numbers are not, if you see them square, then you won't see their jersey numbers, and they're getting their blocks. But if you see a lot of along the line of scrimmage, all of a sudden they're getting turned, and you see jersey numbers, it's probably a bad day.
All right, let's go behind enemy lines with the Super Bowl champion, DeMarco Farr, Rams radio analyst, with us here on the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarco, how you doing, man? Great to have you.
I'm out of breath. I was down there for pregame, walking around with the coaches. I was talking with Rams running back coach Ron Gould, and he walked me for 3 miles. I asked one question about Blake Corum. It lasted 12 laps. Like, come on, man. Just answer the question.
That's hilarious, dude. Well, what do we need to know about Blake Corum? I guess he's gonna get the bulk of the carries tonight.
He's gonna go. He's gonna go in the first half. He is the key backup to Kyron Williams, so he'll get between 8 to 10 touches. And also Jaquez Smith, the rookie running back. Let me grab my glasses to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Will get 8 to 10 touches in the first half, and then second half they'll kind of work through that. But they want to see what those two guys can do with at least 8 to 10 touches. See if they can move the football. See if they know where to line up. And then actually get some game reps where the coach is not standing right next to you. So get some actual game reps where they can't help. You have to help yourself and see if they know what to do and when to do it.
Yeah, DeMarco, I kind of get the feeling the Cowboys are going to try and do some of the same things. And I was going to ask you about, did you have a chance, were you at the scrimmage the other day? Or the
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm on the radio from 9 to noon, so
Okay.
I couldn't make it out to Oxnard.
Yeah. Okay, well, I got you then. Okay, so let me ask you this then. As you're talking to your coaches here pregame, how do you feel like, though, that the Rams are going to play? Because we know that Dallas is going to be very vanilla offensively and defensively and kind of play like thinking on your feet. How the Rams going to take the approach and what you're gathering?
Same. It's going to be the same. Not many adjustments. They're not going to go out of their way to put these guys in bad situations to see how they handle it. But if there's like if this was September and there was a chance for a check or an adjustment, they may hold on to that just to see how you do. So they know if you have a corner that's in a bad spot in the red zone, you would help him out in the regular season. But in the preseason, let's just see how he plays this. Let's see how he reacts. Let's see if he can make a play. So same thing, very vanilla. Let the guys play, and then they'll save the adjustments for the meeting room on Monday.
So, DeMarco, what has Rams camp been like for the team? How sharp have they looked? What stood out about the new squad? I know Davante Adams, obviously, he was tearing us up last week.
It must be him. I mean, there is a buzz around this team. I've been around this team as a broadcaster since 2008, and I can't remember a year where morale has been so high. I'm talking even the Super Bowl years with Sean McVay, when you knew the team was loaded and they actually have a shot to compete. Morale has never been higher. Maybe it's because you've got Matthew Stafford at quarterback. That makes everything easier. I think it might be Davante Adams. I was just talking to a few guys on the bench from the Rams. They are still marbling. Like, he breaks ankles. He gets open during the routes. And then after the catch, he breaks ankles again. He's just a special player to have on your football team. So morale's never been higher. Maybe it's him. Who knows? But maybe it's how you finished the year last year against the Eagles. So they really think game 1 this year will be game 21 from last season.
DeMarco, when we got a kind of an eyeful of verse last year when we were out in Oxnard, and then we're like, man, this guy, we do a lot of draft coverage here and stuff, and saw him at Florida State. We're like, boy, what a player. But even better in person. But I kind of want to focus, though, who's somebody else, though, on this defense that maybe the Cowboys will test? I don't expect Verse to play, or maybe even Poona Ford or Fisk or any of those guys. But who will challenge the Cowboys, offensive lineman today?
It depends. I mean, I wish the starters were going to go. So
right.
As far as who's going to challenge, I guess the guys you can look for are guys like Desjuan Johnson. He's a guy that's had, some real-world snaps, regular season snaps. Mm-hmm. He's a pro, so look for him. And he's studied under Aaron Donald, who's been here for years.
Sure.
Kobe Turner. He's a part of that mix, part of that rotation, part of that depth. So if he's out there, I would expect him to make a lot of plays. I just got done talking with Coach Joe Caniglio about Brendan Jackson, a guy they like on first and second down. Very, very strong. He's a guy that always shows up. They'd like to see him take another step to actually make plays, but he's a guy that's going to pop. And I'll give you one more. Number 6, outside linebacker Nick Hampton. Yeah. Very smart guy, very understated, but he can play both sides. He's a key special teamer. He's going to be all over the field tonight. So those are the guys that should give the Cowboys problems tonight.
Behind Enemy Lines with DeMarco Farr here on The Fan. You mentioned Matthew Stafford. He obviously hasn't gotten a chance to really practice too much with the back issue. What's the update there? Are we confident that he'll be ready to go for the season?
Look, I'm an old-school football dude. When your starter is out for camp and he's missing reps, that sends off alarm bells. But it's everything to the contrary around the football team. Coaching, trainers, players, they have every confidence in the world. He's going to be here. He's going to be up and ready to go for week 1. As if they just told me if this was a week 1 affair against Dallas, he would be out here. So that's a good thing. I just would love to see him on the field. But I'll tell you what it does. It really does underscore the luxury it is to have Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup, a guy that's taken a team to the Super Bowl. So the team is in capable hands until Stafford is ready to go, but Matthew Stafford will be the guy week 1.
What is the biggest question outside of Stafford as you look at this Rams team? Clearly expectations pretty high. Where are the question marks on this team going into the season, you think?
Well, I mean, we talked about Davante. You have Puka Nacua. You have Matthew Stafford. Kyron Williams is the guy they just signed who everybody likes. It was a great deal for him to get that deal done. But all that matters not if you don't have good protection. Alaric Jackson is the guy. dare I say, suffering through a blood clot situation. He has blood clots, so he's missed a lot of practice, and he's the guy they just paid. So this was going to be the year for him to really cement his status as one of the best left tackles in the game. If Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams and Puka do their thing and put the ball in the box a lot, well, when they start talking about Pro Bowls and why this is happening, the first guy you're going to talk about is that left tackle. So he is ready for prime time. It's just a shame he's out with blood clots. So I think that's the most important piece. If you get him back into the lineup sooner than later and you start being cohesive up front, and Sean McVay feels like he can call what he wants with this group of talent on offense, you should have an offense that's really near the top as far as scoring.
I know my guy Broaddus here does a lot of draft work, was fascinated with the UNC offensive lineman Willie Lampkin, who ends up with the Rams at 5'11", 290 pounds. He goes undrafted, but what type of camp has he had? At that size, dude, he's a fascinating type of player.
I don't know how to explain it, but your eyes go right to him because he stands out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He stands out amongst giants. And like, wow, what is that guy? Is he the new long snapper? No, he's actually a center guard, and he'll tell you he's a center guard. So he's a guy you root for. He's undersized. I can't wait to see him go. 5'11", 290 at center guard. I mean, in the NFL, come on. No way. But stranger things have happened, so I can't wait to see him go as well.
Hey, DeMarco, I tell you what, some of the best film I've watched of a college lineman in a long time. As an NFL scout for 13 years, if the kid was 6'3", he would be a first-round pick. I swear to God to you. 6'3", 6'4".
I totally agree.
He is.
Yes.
I've never seen a kid, and because of his size, he plays with great leverage, and he's got balance, he's got body control, and he gets underneath defenders, and like you could see him just wall push. You know, there's a lot of really things. I was surprised he didn't get drafted. I give Sean McVay, the staff there, Les Snead, those guys some credit. Les is always pretty good at picking up guys like this. So hopefully he works out for you guys.
I'm a fan of the undersized. I'm undersized.
You were a damn good player being undersized. I remember you at Washington.
Yeah. I think I have the advantage. You got to come down here to block me. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, when you're talking about taking on Philadelphia and some of these big offensive lines,
I understand. Yeah,
it might scare you a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, DeMarco, why don't you take us back to that, man? Undrafted, 1994. What was the preseason like for you as a guy fighting to make the team?
You know, it's funny. I'm very passionate about football, and it's not like I'm going to write you off or anything. I'm still going to love you as a friend, but when you tell me you don't like preseason, something happens to me. This is what it's all about. I mean, you're living your dreams. Literal dreams are coming true right now. The minute you take the field, you're in the NFL. Now, that's just part of it. You've got to fight to stay, but you're in the top 1% just by being here. So this is a big deal. There's some guys fighting for their very football lives, either just coming in or trying to hang on in the league. So I love this type of year. And it's the journey of 1,000 steps. This is number one. Pretty soon it's going to be December, and we're all talking about playoffs. So I love football. I love being here. When I was a rookie, my first rep in the NFL was at defensive end, and I'm a D tackle. I've never played end in my life. Chuck Knox said, let's just put him out at end and see what he can do because he's 6'1", 260. My first rep came against Jackie Slater.
Oh, geez.
He hit me straight in the throat. And I looked at the coach like, are you going to tell him this is illegal? And they were like, nope, this is the NFL. Sink or swim.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now, but that's how it is. If you want to stay, this is what it is. And, yeah, from then – the minute I took the field, I came out here with one toothbrush, and I told my mom I'm not going home. And
there you go.
I held on as long as I could.
No, you did a great job. Let me ask you this, though, real quick about that. DeMarco, do you kind of, when you go through camp, do you know when you're, like, the coaches, do they coach you up initially, and then do you kind of get a feel that they're not coaching anymore? Is that what players go through when, like I say, I've always been on the personnel side of things, and I always wondered what a player went through with that, you know, that, like, do they know when we're not talking to them or talking about them and things like that?
You know, for players, it's counting reps. If you're not getting reps, if you're leading up to this game here, and you know how game prep is.
Sure.
If they're calling 1s, 2s, or 3s, and, you know, you're in the 4s and you're not getting reps, that pretty much tells you what's happening.
Right.
But I would tell rookies now, especially the guys that kind of don't get it that you really like, they will say stuff like, man, coach is always on me. Why is he yelling at me? I'm like, if he's yelling at you, that's good.
That's good.
If he's not talking to you, that's bad.
Yeah.
So we actually have 2 Super Bowl champions in the midst of this conversation right now. I am not one of them, but I'm curious, DeMarco, how often do you dust off that Super Bowl ring?
You know, I almost brought it today, and I really did. I almost brought it today just to remind me of, like, the journey and just to show the guys.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just every now and then I got them in these little display cases. I'll just pull them out and look at them because I do have one from the LA Rams as a broadcaster, too. It's huge.
Yeah.
Why did they let Odell Beckham Jr. design a ring?
Yeah.
I will never understand that. That thing is like as big as a belt buckle. But just this is what it's all about right here and what you fight for. So you look at them, then you put them away and try to go get another one.
As an LSU man, I approve of the Odell Beckham designing a ring because my man has got some flair. He has got some flair.
Can I make one point about him?
Go ahead.
When I heard he was coming this way, I wanted to hate it. I swear to God, I wanted to hate him. All I knew was what I saw on the internet, and then I met him. And I watched him go about his business.
Sure.
Yeah, he's legit.
He's legit.
He's a great football player, and I respect the crap out of him.
Well, DeMarco, you're the man. This was a real treat for us. Thank you so much for giving us some time, dude. Enjoy the game tonight, and have a great season.
Thank you very much, guys. Good luck this year.
Thank you. Likewise, there he goes, DeMarco Farr behind enemy lines with the Rams radio analyst. He's a lot of fun, dude. How
got
good
a
was
radio
that?
show out there too, huh?
Yeah, he does. He was too busy to head down to the joint practice.
Sound like us. He needs to get 2 live mics going out there, right?
He's like
3 live mics.
He's like Broaddus, dude. He's just married to the microphone.
Married to the microphone and loves preseason football.
Yeah. Streets got to eat. I love it. DeMarco Farr, absolute stud. All right, we have our very own color analyst as well, Babe Laufenberg, live from SoFi Stadium. He joins us next right here on The Fan.
Huddle up your teammates and head to Port Aransas to run out the clock on Island Time. Come revel in the island life. Make the catch of a lifetime in the fishing capital of Texas. Dine at open-air eateries with island fare cooked to perfection. And have a beach day on Port A's 18 miles of uninterrupted coastline. For your next getaway, chart your course for a new family tradition. Plan your stay at visitportaransas.com.
Hey Cowboys fans, it's time to get ready for tailgate season with an official Dallas Cowboys license plate from myplates.com. Join the many thousands of fans already driving around with Cowboys pride on their ride. It's a must-have for any die-hard Cowboys fan. My Plates is also the one-stop shop for all specialty plates in Texas, with over 500 designs to choose from. With Cowboys plates starting from only $50, what are you waiting for? Visit myplates.com today. That's myplates.com.
Tom Thumb's new Drive Up and Go service makes grocery shopping easy and convenient for anyone.
25 pounds of ground chuck, 15 bags of hamburger buns, 28 bags of Tostitos, 10 packs of Pepsi, and some barbecue tongs.
You pick the time, you drive up, and go.
With Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go, anyone has time in their schedule to go grocery shopping. Just a few clicks away, and you can feed your team.
Everyone can be a grocery pro bowler with Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go. Download the app or try an online order to get started today.
November of 2024.
Her United Healthcare nurse, Crystal, checked on her.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell.
We're under 2 hours to kick off, ladies and gentlemen. Preseason game number 1. We're fired up. Cowboys and Rams. Let's go live to SoFi. Welcome in our good buddy, Babe Laufenberg, a man I have missed for many, many months now. It is going to be great to hear his voice. And there it is. There it is. Babe, how we doing, bro?
I'm doing well, thank you. 2 schools of thought, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and out of sight, out of mind. So
yeah.
We're back in the saddle.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Well, how has the offseason treated you, man? You've been bouncing around doing some fly fishing?
Yeah, I must say I had a good off season. I'll sound like a player now. Got a fly fishing trip to Colorado for about 10 days with my son. Then we had Montana for about 5 days. I went to Italy for about 12.
Ooh.
So, yeah, good off season. Now I'm ready to roll.
Best shape of your life?
Yes. You know my theory on that, right? Anytime a guy says I'm in the best shape of my life, they're trying to convince other people. They're usually 30 and hanging on in that professional sport, that is.
That's right.
I was watching an interview with Lindsey Vonn, the skier, and she had her knee replaced, maybe both of them, and she said, I've never felt better. Now, she's 41 years old,
right.
2 knees replaced. Something tells me you felt better at 22 than you did at 41.
Just lying to our faces.
Right.
Hey, Babe, did you have a chance? I think you were there this week for the scrimmage, right? Did you get to see the Rams?
I did.
I would be interested to see, because we only get the clips, but I want to believe there was some good among the bad. But I was just kind of wondering where you were at. What was when you sat down at Brophy Brothers for dinner that night? Where were you thinking about how the scrimmage and all that went overall?
Well, as you guys know, they're on 2 separate fields, so you
kind
of either watch.
Yeah,
you watch one or the other. I went down really mostly for the Cowboys' offense run game. That was awful.
Yeah.
And then I went down and switched up about halfway through when they started more of the passing segments and kind of took in the Cowboys' defense, and that was awful. So I saw bad run offense by the Cowboys and bad pass defense. But as we all know, this secondary is. If you're on a golf course, it would be considered ground under repair.
Okay.
So it's going to be tough sledding today. I know you're not going to see Matthew Stafford or most likely even Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback for the Rams, but Cowboys got some work to do in that secondary. Obviously, there are a number of guys injured, but if you were to ask me one area or one position where they got to go out and get a guy,
sure,
I would tell you it's secondary. And I when Jordan Lewis left, everybody was like, oh, that's too bad. We kind of liked him. He was a good player, but, man, you look at it now, and you would kill to have Jordan Lewis on this football team.
Babe, how much then is the pressure then flipped to the offense to maybe make up for that? Because there was a time with Matt Eberflus, they were kind of a small front. They played well. They got after the passer. But now does the pressure then swing over to Schottenheimer and the offense to maybe have to give this defense a chance with some leads or playing ahead a little bit?
I mean, certainly you'd like that. I always feel, though,
unless you feel like the offense is awful too.
Well, no, I do not. We'll see about the running game. I don't know. And hey, left tackle. Now, this Nate Thomas, people don't know a lot about him. Second year, was injured in training camp last year, but he really has looked good. And I did get an opportunity to watch him go against Jared Verse, who was a defensive rookie of the year for the Rams last year, first-round pick, and I thought he held his own against Verse. So that was encouraging. Now, you just got to kind of keep stacking those days and games upon themselves. We know Tyler Guyton's out. When he comes back, what kind of shape is he going to be in? I really felt like and Brad Sham and I were talking about this during the week here, but if you were to name one player that really needed training camp this year, that had to make every practice and show improvement and do all those things, it would have been Tyler Guyton. And obviously he's hurt, so he's not going to get that experience of going through training camp, getting himself right. The one thing I did like about what Tyler Guyton said as camp started those guys, he said, I was embarrassed about last year.
Sure.
So that told me, typically, if anyone is embarrassed in whatever they do in life, you want to make it better. Now, some guys will say, I wasn't, maybe you didn't see what I saw. I played okay. It wasn't bad. And no, he said, I was embarrassed. And that told me he's ready to change things. Unfortunately, hurt the knee and won't be back till somewhere around the first game of the season.
It's Babe Laufenberg with us here on the Fan. What did you see from Joe Milton in that scrimmage, and what would you like to see from him tonight, Babe?
I'd like to see him throw the ball 90 yards like he said he could the other day.
I believe it.
I don't know. 90 is a lot. That may have been wind aided, and I've thrown literally side by side with Doug Williams and John Elway and these guys. And it's almost like, hey, this guy runs a 4 flat 40. It's like, haven't seen it yet. But let me say this: if anybody can do it, he might be able to. I was talking to Steve Shemko, the quarterback coach, and I said, if you were to be gone, if you were out of the country for 10 years and you just came back, had no idea of what's been going on, but somebody just said, I need you to go to Tennessee, which is where Joe Milton played his college ball. I need you to go to Tennessee and work this kid out. I would come back and say, somehow we have to figure out a way to move up to the first pick in the draft, because this guy's got it all. He's 6'5", he's 240, runs 4.55, athletic as heck. You've seen him do the backflip, land a backflip. I can do one. I land on my head. I do a half backflip. I land on my head. I mean, incredible. His stroke, his motion is about as good as it gets. I mean, the ball just jumps out of his hand. You just can't. You have to be impressed with it. Now, all that said, he was a 6th-round pick, and there's some things that he needs to work on. But I always liken it to, hey, you're in South Africa, you go into the diamond mine, right? When those guys bring out a rock, it's just this black tarnished rock, and you take it to the jeweler, and the jeweler shines it and cuts it and sparkles it and makes it real pretty. Well, Cowboys have a big rock to work with here in Joe Milton, because the physical tools are off the charts.
No question about it. He says he could throw 90. What's your PR, Babe? What's your record distance?
I would have said 70. And most NFL quarterbacks are going to be somewhere between 60 and 70, I would say. I think, too, quite honestly, a lot. I bet you Troy couldn't throw it like deep because he had such a short stroke. You can just picture him, right? Real tight with that motion. Drew Brees at the end of his career couldn't throw it 50. Yeah. Now, let me say this. If you throw it 90 yards, you better have a really, really, really good offensive line.
Yeah, you're going to need some time.
I'll tell you what, how about just some smaller shoulder pads, Babe? You guys played in an era where your shoulder pads were like linebacker shoulder pads.
Oh, it's hilarious. And when you look at the running backs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Herschel Walker and Earl Campbell, I mean,
yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
But let me just say, the fans listening, watching, whatever, they're going to be very impressed with the physical talent of Joe Milton. And very quickly, too, and Brian, you know this, seeing Tennessee's offense, but he came from that Tennessee offense, Josh Heupel.
Oh, yeah.
It's so unlike anything you're going to do in the NFL. I mean, you might as well be, I don't know what, playing a different sport, because nothing translates to the NFL. Now, that said, it's not Josh Heupel's job to make sure that this guy's an NFL quarterback. Josh Heupel's trying to win games at Tennessee, which he has done, and keep his job. That's his job, is to keep his job. Right. But Joe Milton has farther to go, I think, in terms of that development than guys coming out of other systems. No, there's no doubt about that.
Hey, Babe, I know, again, last week you were getting acclimated to what's going on with the practices and stuff like that. Just thoughts about the wide receiver room, and I'll say it, and I'll ask it in this way, because I kind of feel like that it's you talk about Pickens, you talk about Lamb, you actually talk about Turpin. But past that, I'm kind of not trying. I'm just trying to figure out. They keep 5, they keep 6. Is there a way that, if you got a little idea of how you get this thing handicapped so far for maybe what we'll see from these wide receivers?
I think a little bit of that is the Turpin. You keep 6 if you're going to play Turpin.
Sure.
The problem is, you lose him, you lose your punt returner, all that stuff.
Right.
But they're definitely making a concerted effort, at least in training camp, to use Turpin as a wide receiver far more than he has been.
Right.
Hey, he's looked good. We know about his speed. You want to get the ball in his hands. The only thing with a guy like that, with that size or lack of size, you can't really play him on the outside for the most part. And when you put him in the slot and you send him down the middle of the field, the farther those guys get away from the line of scrimmage, the less effective they are. Because let's say you're hitting a seam down the middle of the field, they got a linebacker running underneath with you, and you're trying to get the ball, over the backer before the safeties get there, and they cover 2, right, middle of the field open. That guy gets lost for you as a quarterback. Now, from where Brad Sham and I sit, 200 feet in the air, we'll say, oh, geez, he's open, get him the ball. But when you're trying to loft that ball with that touch of getting it up and down, that guy becomes very difficult to find down the middle of the field. So in theory, it sounds great, but when you're 5'7" and 30 yards away, and you got a guy between you and the quarterback, he's hard to find. It becomes, again, it's a difficult throw and a very risky throw. So we'll see what they do with him, though.
Yeah, let's leave those deep balls for Pickens. That's what I'm thinking about right there.
Yeah, let the guy that's 6'2" go up and get it.
That's right.
Pickens has been interesting because I watched every throw, every target last year at Pittsburgh, and it's funny, it's a pretty simplistic offense. He ran about 4 routes.
Mm-hmm.
He ran goes, he ran quick outs, he ran corners from the slot, but he didn't do a whole lot in the route tree. And deep overs and shallow crossers. That was kind of his route tree, if you will. But not very good on releases. Not very good when he's pressed. Remember, we hear all the time about he's great on the 50-50 ball, and he is. But he gets a lot of 50-50 balls because he hasn't created separation.
Yeah,
right.
Because I think his route running leaves a little to be desired. That said, he's so physical, so acrobatic. When that ball goes up in the air, his ability to contort his body and twist and track the ball, I mean, it's kind of second to none. Funny because Devontae Adams, who we will not see play today for the Rams, but he's here, and I watched him in the practice, and I don't know if there's a guy that gets better releases when he's pressed than Devontae Adams. It's like he has a whole toolbox of releases that he can throw at guys, and he was fun to watch during the practice, I'll say that. And the guy's going to be 33 years old this season.
Yeah, it's amazing. All-time route runner, Devontae Adams for sure. Babe Laufenberg with us here on The Fan. But yeah, the passing game in general this year, I am excited about it for sure. Pickens, Lamb, you mentioned, you got the Turpin aspect, and then Ferguson. Did you like that they gave Ferguson the extension?
Yeah, I mean, Ferguson's a good, solid player. I mean, he's solid. It's a lot of money for a guy that's a solid player, but I'm not in the salary cap department, right? Hurt his back, but talking to him yesterday, it sounds like he hurt his back in the practice against their own team here 2 days ago.
Sure.
And anyway, he sounded fine. Obviously, he won't play tonight. He wouldn't have played anyway, but no, he's a good, solid NFL receiver. The Cowboys let Dalton Schultz walk under the same circumstances, and this time they hooked up Ferguson. Schultz probably a better receiver, better downfield receiver. Ferguson more of the all-around, old-fashioned tight end, the guy that can kind of go in and block and do the dirty work.
That's right. Just like you, Babe Laufenberg, always doing the dirty work. We love you, brother. Thank you for the time, babe. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you, guys. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. United Healthcare is the proud official healthcare partner of the Dallas Cowboys, bringing coverage you can count on to Cowboys territory. Learn more at uhc.com. All right, we're under 90 minutes to kick off. Let's get the scoop for the first time this season from the best in the business. Chrissy Scales next right here on The Fan.
Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
All right, here we go. Just over an hour to kick off here. It's the official pregame show of America's team. It's time to get the scoop. Let's head down to the turf of SoFi Stadium and welcome in Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales for the first time this season. Christy, happy game day. How are you?
Eric, doing great. Finally, it has been fun to watch practice this year. The pace and the structure of practices, not going through as much of like the 9-on-7s and 7-on-7s and seeing the real team 11-on-11. So it's been good, but now we finally get to see with this first preseason game some of these young guys see if they can manifest on the field in game action some of the flashes that we've seen so far up in Oxnard.
Hey, Christy, real quick before we get to all your great nuggets of information, that place doesn't have air conditioning. Is it warm there?
It is a little warm. It's kind of muggy. So this has a canopy, right?
Yeah, right.
And so it's a translucent roof. So it's kind of sunny on the inside, but it's not as breezy today. We're also 100 feet below street level, so the breeze needs to be pretty strong. So let me just say that it's the warmest that these guys have had
That's what I
for
thought.
The Cowboys sideline
Yeah.
since the mini camp back in Frisco.
So, Christy, who's at the top of the list of guys that we should know that are actually going to be suiting up and playing in this game tonight?
I mean, the list of who's not playing is as long as who is playing. But, with Joe Milton, that's a thing. Along the offensive line, guys like Cooper Beebe are not going to play, even though he's just a second-year guy. So the young guys on the line that we'll be watching for tonight, Tyler Booker, going to get maybe 10 to 20 plays, the first-round pick at right guard. And after that, the veteran free agent Sadiq Charles will step in for him. But Nate Thomas at left tackle, and then a guy like Awesome Richards, who was kind of leapfrogged, right, after Guyton went down and Nate Thomas took over. But Awesome will get some work at backup left tackle, but also at guard. So a lot of position flex. There's going to be a lot of moving parts on this offensive line with Cooper Beebe not taking any snaps. Obviously, Brock Hoffman is going to get the work at center. And then when they give him a spell, it's TJ Bass, who has been mainly guard. Of course, his first couple years, he was primarily a backup at right guard to Zach Martin, correct? Mm-hmm. He's been working mainly left guard here at camp, but with the injury situation to Dakota Shepley, who was waived injured, now look for TJ Bass there at the center. And the reason I mention that is, what do you talk about with offensive line? It's communication and working five as one, right? Being on the same accord. And so it's just one more little wrench thrown into the factor here of these preseason games where TJ Bass does a good job of communicating. He's a smart guy, but different when you got someone right in front of you, breathing right in your face when you're having to make those calls. So there's just so many things that happen in these preseason games that they don't really have to worry about in the practice situations.
Christy, Deuce Vaughn back at practice. Any thoughts about him in today's action?
Well, yes. So he's been back at practice the last 2 days. He had missed almost 2 weeks with that hamstring injury. Now it's his availability this afternoon is going to depend on how he goes through the warm-ups. So he was out here for the early warm-ups. Right now, here at SoFi Stadium, only the specialists are out there. So everybody who was out there for the early warm-ups, they're back in the locker room now. The rest of the teammates, they're going to come back out in full uniform by position group. So we haven't seen Deuce come back out yet. But it's not 100% that he's going to play. He looked fine in the early warm-ups. But again, Deuce is a game-time decision. Now, if he doesn't play, we know Jaden Blue injured the ankle a couple of days ago. So without him, you've got Phil Maffa, who is the rookie draft pick, and then Malik Davis, who's been back with the team for almost 35 hours. I think that's enough to get some work in the fourth quarter. So don't be surprised if Malik Davis, who spent the past 3 seasons with the Cowboys before getting released early this offseason, he's going to get some reps and some carries today. And then if you really get down to brass tacks, and then don't be surprised if Jalen Cropper, the wide receiver, if you see him line up in the backfield a couple times. That's what we're at the running back situation situation now because you know that Javonte Williams, the veteran free agent, who's right now number 1 on the depth chart, he's not going to play. They're going to rest him. Miles Sanders probably wouldn't have played, but he's been out with injury for about a week and a half. And then Jaden Blue not playing today and missing a day and a half of practice coming into this. So, yeah, it's we have a dearth at the running back position right now.
Christy, what about what's going on at wide receiver? How do you think that's going to play out today? You have any ideas without that one?
You know, a name that you keep hearing in the past week of someone who's really popping up is Trayshawn Holden, right? Mm-hmm. The University of Oregon, the undrafted rookie free agent, of course, the new wide receivers coach Junior Adams was his position coach there at University of Oregon. And so I went up to C.D. Lamb a little bit earlier. I said, tell me the young guys that you're really, really excited to see. And he mentioned Holden, but he also mentioned Josh Kelly from Texas Tech, and that's the first person that I've heard mention him. I've heard some good things. You know, Ryan Flournoy has shown some flashes in camp there. So they're going to get plenty of opportunities today, but I wasn't I didn't have an expectation to hear Josh Kelly's name, but that's someone that CD specifically mentioned. And also he said that with these 2 undrafted rookie free agents, those 2 guys, they are moving around. They're getting a chance to play all the different spots at wide receiver, including inside.
Love it. Christy Scales with us here on The Fan. How do they do captains and green dot stuff at this point in the preseason?
Well, with green dot, and of course that's the radio helmet on defense where you're going to hear the play call from the new defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus. In the regular season, you can only have 3 green dot helmets, 1 player with a green dot out on the field at a time. But you can have 5 in preseason because they know there's going to be so much substitution. So our green dots today are Damone Clark, and let's see, Buddy Johnson is 1, Darius Harris, the rookie, Shamar James, and then Maris Leofau. What's interesting about Shamar James, guys, I can't tell you how many people have told me that he is the guy I'm talking about from the coaching staff and scouting. They're the ones, we can't wait to see Shamar James in this situation. Now, I asked Shamar a couple days ago, hey, have you done anything with the green dot or heard any, he's like, no, hadn't done anything with that. So this may be the first time he's ever had Matt Eberflus's voice in his head out on the field. So we'll see how that goes. I did mention Damone Clark. Boy, he is having a great camp.
Sure
Brian,
is.
Eric,
Yeah.
I know you
Yeah.
guys saw it, but
Yep,
I've had
absolutely.
people tell me
Yep.
night and day.
Yep.
Night and day for Damone Clark.
Absolutely.
And so they feel so good about what they've seen from him these first few weeks that he is one of the game captains today. So
very good for him.
Yeah, so Damone for defense. On offense, it's Brock Hoffman who'll be your center. And then, of course, punter Brian Anger, who's from just up the road, and Camarillo, which is right next to Oxnard.
Well, so then we'll be in a situation where Hoffman will get kicked out of the game for fighting, so he'll be the first game captain to be tossed
Yeah,
in a preseason
can you do
game.
it like soccer, where you have to take off the armband
Yeah,
and
you're gonna
hand it to somebody
off.
else?
Yeah, exactly. This is an interesting. You mentioned Damone Clark, though, Christy. Though I felt like that he and there's some guys in this team that were I call them crossroads players, where they could take the path of going down and maybe making a football team, or like playing next year for the Tennessee Titans or somebody like that.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like that Clark has been the take the right path guy. The way he's he's showing up in camp.
Well, what I'm told is just the dedication that he showed in the off season, physically and mentally. I mean, it was a tough year for him last year.
It was.
He didn't get a lot of work, and yet came back with the right approach. And I know that the football ops people and the coaching staff have really appreciated that. And this is a guy who, you look at someone like him and say, this is before you know that he's having a good camp. Would he be one of these casualties of the roster because
Sure.
a guy who's in the 4th year gets paid more than a rookie or a
Right.
first year or a second year player, and yet he's really forcing their hand so much so that he earns being captain today. So I've also done some stuff, community work with Damone Clark, and know that he's a really great guy. So he's one of these ones that I'm really pulling for, and I just hope that in preseason he's able to show what he's shown through these 3 weeks of practices.
Love to see that. Yeah, super likable guy.
Yeah. Can I add one more thing, guys?
For
before
sure.
There's one position group. I asked some friends in scouting, and I'm like, okay, tell me a position group or a couple guys that are really under the radar, but you're super excited to see. safety. The young safeties.
Sure.
Elijah Clark has been getting a lot of love, but Mike Smith too. And so isn't that interesting? I thought of all the position groups, and you know what you have with Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson. You know they're not going to play today. You don't need to see them. But we're hearing a lot about Clark, but Smith is showing up in these practices as well. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that those two young guys were specifically mentioned.
That would be huge. Would love to see any one of those young safeties step up. This is the time of year for that for sure. I'm sure they've been pretty tight-lipped about it, Christy, but do you have any inkling about the upcoming preseason games of seeing some more of the starters?
No, I have not. And then I think Milton's going to get all of today. I asked about are we even going to see Will Greer, and it's like he'll be at the ready.
Yeah.
So no, I think that they need to know what they have in Milton, and they need to give him as many reps as they can. If you enter the season with him as your number 2 guy behind Dak, and he only has that one regular season game at the end of last season against Buffalo's backups, I think you want to give him as much as you can. And so I know that other teams have gone, it's surprising these days to look at other games in this first week of preseason and see some of these starters playing.
Yeah.
And, Shoddy says he reserves the right to change his mind, so we can't hold him to anything. But, no, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it stays this way next week for Game 2 against Baltimore back at AT&T Stadium, which will be the home opener for preseason.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to tonight. Christy, always great to chat with you, and have a great call tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. There she goes. Cowboy sideline reporter Christy Scales, always giving us the scoop, and she had quite a bit to give us there. Damone Clark, how about that?
Yeah, it's this is not an LSU thing with me. I just
no biases.
Not at all. I just noticed the practices that I got to watch. He looked more comfortable. He looked aware. He wasn't out of position. He wasn't guessing. He can run. He's big. He can be physical. He can finish when getting in position. The problem was he couldn't get himself in position. The last couple of years, it's been a real struggle for him just to play with awareness. And it looks like that Matt Eberflus and those the coaching staff have found something with him that they've been able to explain it where he has he's more comfortable playing in these games now.
I love it, man. That'll be great. He's a captain tonight, so I'll be looking forward to seeing him make some plays. All right, we're just over 60 minutes to kick off, and it's a loaded final hour here. We have the head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. We'll hear from Jerry Jones and more Super Bowl winning analysis from Bryan Broaddus. That's next right here on The Fan.
Dallas Cowboys fans know a thing or two about legacy, commitment, and loyalty. That's why Kohler is our proud partner. With more than 150 years of craftsmanship, leading-edge design, and innovation, Kohler kitchen and bathroom products stand out and stand the test of time, just like our Cowboys. Experience the Kohler difference firsthand at
Dallas Cowboys Radio Network is on the air.
Deep fade, left corner of the end zone, 1-for-1. Caught the ball. Touchdown. Touchdown, Cowboys.
With Brad Schapp, Abe Loffenberg, Christy Scales, Eric Chiofalo, and Bryan Broaddus. Brought to you by
AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with blockchain.com.
Also brought to you by
Bell Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods, get your Tyson Cowboys Star Nuggets available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
All right, we're 60 minutes to kickoff. Cowboys football is back, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you in the official pregame show of America's team right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Cowboys and Rams at SoFi Stadium. And I'm Eric Chiofalo alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, ready to rock and roll for another Cowboys season, man. You're glowing. And you're in your environment. This is your natural habitat.
Yeah, it's been an interesting off season. It's nice to be able to kind of talk about evaluation of players that will be on the field. The Micah Parsons stuff has been a little tiring to me. It's something you have to talk about. Hopefully that will all be taken care of here soon enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of put a little bit of a damper on some things that that you've been able to get from training camp. The energy, the atmosphere, all that was great being out there. And now it's we're getting close to the time though, Eric, where it's not about there's preseason games left and stuff like that, but you're getting to the point of the coaching staff that they kind of know who's going to be on this roster. And now, are there guys that the tags have been tilted in one way on Will McClay's board of, well, we're probably going to move on? Does that player find a way to put himself back into the conversation?
Yeah, nights like tonight.
We talked about it earlier. With guys like Damone Clark, we mentioned him. How about Amazi Smith? How about some guys that right now, there's some guys having a really good training camp right now that were crossroads players. Luke Schoonmaker, crossroads players to me. But he'll get an opportunity tonight to kind of show, hey, I'm on this team because. And I think it's great that they're going to get an opportunity with Joe Milton as well. Christy's talking about. I kind of felt like that Joe Milton would get the 3/4 of the game, and then we might see Will Grier in the fourth. But according to Christy, it sounds like it's going to be a Joe Milton day, and that'll be exciting. But
that's what you want.
You want to be able to evaluate Joe Milton, and so with some of the offensive linemen playing, a couple of veteran guys that are playing. I think that if you get some wide receivers involved, the running game could be a little bit of a mess because the running back situation isn't exactly healthy right now. But there's a lot to still understand as this football team does officially kick off the preseason this afternoon.
Yeah, man, it's great to have Cowboys football back for sure. Joe Milton looks like he's going to go 4 quarters, so that'll be high level entertainment, man. It'll get a little bit volatile on you. He'll make some big plays, he'll make some head scratching plays, but that's part of the process of maturing as a quarterback. He's got all the athleticism. He's got the cannon arm. We saw it firsthand in Oxnard. Plenty to like, but we'll see how he does just doing kind of the little things, the boring things at the quarterback position.
Yeah, Joe will be Joe. The one thing Joe has shown is in practice is they will play a little bit of a college offense with him. You will see the shotgun and you will see the ride of the fake and then the pull and then him run. So Joe's one of those guys that and then maybe if he gets trapped or he gets penned, Joe will stop and drop down and throw a sidearm dart to somebody coming across the field. It should be some fun football with him tonight. Like I say, there could be some wheels off moments for sure, but hopefully overall Joe finds a way to move the team. Nothing worse than a bunch of 3 and outs. That just kills your team when offense going along, moving the football, getting first downs, finishing drives. I saw where Todd Archer was even talking about that Brandon Aubrey had made a 58-yard field goal, kind of a ho-hum kick, that just went right through. But yeah, you want Joe Milton to be able to move the team today. You don't want them to get bogged down, and then every time it's a 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and now your defense just gets wrecked that way.
What do you think the Joe Milton over-under is for rushing yards tonight?
I'm going to say 38.
Well, then you want to slam the over 20.5 rushing yards because this is the tough time because they don't know. I mean, maybe
they don't know.
They don't know that he's about to go 4 quarters.
See, that's the thing with Joe Milton.
I'd hit that over, by the way.
I would too. The practices that we've watched, and this has been a little bit, and I don't know if you want to call it an issue, but you will call it what it is. Joe will look for his first read, and if it's not there, he will take off running. Joe is not afraid to pull the ball down and take off running.
Yes.
And so I think what they're going to ask Joe to do, and I think that Brian Schottenheimer will probably call the game in a way to get Joe some reads early and maybe some quicker reads. The waggle game or the boot where, the flow goes one way and then he comes back the other. They flip it to the tight end on the backside, or you flip it to a receiver over on the backside. Maybe some of the quick game screen stuff that they've doing, they kind of get in that mode where the other day where they couldn't run the ball. Well, what did they do to open things up? They went quick game screen is what, they took the slot receiver and just kept throwing the ball out quick and used that as their way of running the football. So I could see Brian Schottenheimer try and really make the game plan as simplistic as possible.
Yes.
Where Joe's reads are not just massively these massive reads where he's got to make 2 or 3 different reads. It's either it's there or it's not. And Joe, like I said, I would hammer the over because Joe will run with the ball. And that is something you notice. It's very rare that you get a practice where you watch a quarterback run the ball as much as he does and not be designed runs. It's the little pressure, and now he's out the door.
Yeah, he's looking to escape for sure. And then even with him, you do have some of the design stuff where he'll pull it and
straight
scamper.
Run, straight. We saw just some straight power run where it was Joe took the direct snap. They motioned the tight end or the H-back across. The H-back, kind of the move guy, fullback, if you want to say, maybe a Hunter Lipke.
Mm-hmm.
And now Hunter Lipke's in space with Joe Milton behind him, and they're just running that thing off the edge.
All right, it's the official pregame show of America's Team, brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Also brought to you by SeatGeek. We're just getting started here, prepping our bodies for kickoff preseason game number 1, Cowboys and Rams. Let's get you the Coach's Corner. Brad Sham, voice of the Cowboys, standing by with your rookie, first-time head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. That's coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Miller Lite,
The official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's get you the first ever Coach's Corner with your voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, standing by with year one head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Brad, take it away, sir.
Fellas, thanks. It's fun to welcome Brian Schottenheimer to the Dallas Cowboys pregame coaches show. It's nice to be working with you here.
Thank you, Brad. I'm excited to get this season kicked off, preseason, I should say, and looking forward to some fun evaluations today.
You said, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they run together out here in training camp a little bit, that nothing had happened or been presented to you that made you feel any differently or was a surprise of what you thought about being a head coach. Did I summarize that correctly?
Well, I think that there's always been a few phone calls maybe that caught me by surprise. Like, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about that. And you truly just trust your instincts. But, look, when you've been thinking about this your whole life and really working towards this your whole life, and most importantly, you grow up in a household with a father that's a head coach for over 24 years, you tend to kind of have a pretty deep look into what it's like to be a head coach. So sitting in this chair, there's certainly things that raise my eyebrows from time to time, but for the most part, it's things that you trust your instincts, and they seem to work out.
This is Brian Schottenheimer's team. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about your dad, but since you brought him up, you've alluded to this too. Different era that he coached in. If he could sit there across from you today, what kind of an exchange would you have about the way you are running a camp and your team compared to what he thought was the way to do it?
Well, I think there's some similarities in terms of the importance of protecting the football, owning the line of scrimmage, things like that. I think he definitely would not like the music. I think he would wonder, like, what are we doing? How are you communicating with your players? And I understand why he would say that, but at the end of the day, the music's out there for a lot of reasons: enjoyment, energy, but also a little bit of a distraction and crowd noise and things like that to test our ability to communicate. But he's awfully proud, looking down on me. I know he is, Brad, and again, I'm so damn proud to be his son.
These 3 games are the finishing blocks to putting your team together. You've made it very clear what you think of competition. How much do you think you will value and stress winning a preseason game as opposed to doing whatever the priority list is for what you want to get out of it?
Well, the priority is going to be, like you said, always try to evaluate the roster and do the things we have to do to make sure that when final cut time comes, we have to trim the roster to 53, that we're making the right decision. That is the priority in preseason. At the end of the day, anything we do, we want to win. That's never going to change. This culture here is all about winning. But I was given this golden nugget from a head coach a long time ago that was my father, which we seem to be talking about him a lot today.
You brought him up.
Which I'm great with. He said, Brian, nothing is more quickly forgotten than your record in the preseason. So, again, I hope we win them all. Don't know if we will. We're going to try our best with understanding the rules of engagement that we have, but the priority is going to be the evaluations and making the right decision when it comes to the 53-man roster.
In today's NFL, the spotlight is almost more on what your philosophy is about how you use your players, who plays, who doesn't. I've been really interested. You've made twice now reference to the fact that you have a plan for some of them for number of plays in the preseason, as opposed to, we're not putting that guy out there for that. How are you going to balance that? How's that going to work?
Well, I think we've got to be flexible. So this is game 1, right? This is preseason game 1. We're getting ready to play the Rams today, and should be a fun day. And I know our young players are excited to get out there and compete. But we honestly, control how we play our guys based on how they're practicing during the week against each other. And so if we're finding out the things that we need to on next Tuesday, Wednesday, before we get out of here and break camp and Thursday, we could adjust those numbers. And if we play really well, or certain guys that stick out today and play great, they might practice more during the week and play less. But again, it's one of the tools that we use, Brad, for evaluating this roster as preseason games, but it's only one of them. Again, we get incredible work against ourselves every day, and it's almost 70 plays of 11 on 11, and you can find out a lot about your guys when they do that.
Which player, and I'm going to ask you the same question about both sides of the ball, which player on offense are you most interested in seeing if you can learn more about?
This name, literally, as you asked me the question, just popped in my brain. I'm going to say Tyler Neville. Here's a guy that we didn't get a lot of exposure to in the spring. He was dealing with some, hamstring issues, and everybody or most everybody has probably heard of his story. It's very emotional and crazy and motivating. But he's a young man that just over the past, I'd say 7 to 10 days has really popped off the film and has done a great job. And literally that name just popped into my head. On defense, I'm going to probably, there's a lot of them on defense, but I would probably say I want to see Shamar James, the Florida Gator. I'm a Gator at heart, and he's just had, another guy, I guess, because he was limited during the spring with a hamstring, and he's another guy that the instincts, the speed, the ability to dissect things and shoot gaps, and that's jumped off the film. So I'd say those are two young players that have really played extremely well over the past 7 to 10 days, and I expect them to have great games today.
And same question, but with position groups in mind instead of individual players, because you're also starting to try to figure out who's going to help me against Philadelphia. So on offense, which position group, as you have put this plan together for today, are you saying to yourself, I have got to come out of this game knowing more about fill in the blank?
Yeah, I think, it's a very competitive receiver room. There's a number of guys at the receiver room that we want to see. Some guys that have been here over the past, couple years, and some new guys that we've brought in. That one jumps out at me. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the linebackers. Again, this is another group of guys that we've created an incredibly competitive room, and so that position, and you always got to look in the trenches, man. I'm always going to be looking at the O-line and the D-line and see how that battle's going, and it's such a big determining factor of winning and losing anymore in this league that you got to keep your eyes on the big guys.
And last one, just explain to everyone what you meant by you're going to be playing this with a 7-iron. I know you love play calling, but you're kind of tying your own hands behind your back, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, again, our objective right now is to make the best decisions for our roster and to figure out the evaluation process. But we've got September 4th marked on our calendars, and this is the first and only year that we'll have a chance to kind of limit what people know we want to do, and I think you'd be foolish not to take advantage of that. Doesn't mean we don't play to win, doesn't mean we don't have enough good plays on offense and defense to make plays to win, but we're not going to be driving for dough and all those things like some people talk about. We're going to be keeping the ball in play and seeing if the execution can get us over the top at the end of the game.
I appreciate the time. Have fun.
Absolutely. It'll be a blast.
Head coach Brian Schottenheimer, fellas, back to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brad Sham. There it is. Today's Coach's Corner, the first one of the season, brought to you by Gillette, the official shave of the Dallas Cowboys. Schottenheimer reiterating the idea of the element of surprise, wanting to keep things close to the vest before week 1 in Philadelphia. So things will be vanilla tonight as we predicted. But he shouted out 2 guys, rookies, Tyler Neville, tight end, and defensively, the Florida Gators, Shamar James, both those guys. And I thought Neville in particular was kind of surprised. He kind of popped a little bit when we were out there.
Neville is an interesting guy because of his ability to not give a damn about himself. As far as he is a great
just kamikaze style, man.
He is a great teammate to have because he is a play to the echo of the whistle guy. He is every time if there's not a Hoffman fight, Neville was starting a fight and then walking away as everybody else was fighting behind him.
That's my guy. He's an absolute dog.
No, he was. And then the thing with James is that showed up very early in the OTAs with an interception, and there were some questions about his ability to play some pass coverage stuff, and then he gets this interception in practice, and you're kind of like, oh, maybe that's but he was a guy that was a really, really good blitzer and didn't play with a lot of awareness or instincts at Florida. So I'm kind of excited to see how things shake out for him in this game today.
I love it. All right, we're under 45 minutes to kick off preseason game number 1, Cowboys and Rams. Let's get to know the enemy. Coming up next right here, Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Superstitions are real, folks. I should know because I've seen it all. Lucky socks, sacred seats, push-ups before kickoff, but only one works every time. If you buy more deliciously soft Nature's Own buns baked with no artificial preservatives for the tailgate, your team will win. That's right. As a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, it pains us to say they won't make the playoffs if you don't buy enough Nature's Own buns. And I'm not just saying that because they paid me, although they did.
Okay, quiz.
Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
All right, we're just over 30 minutes to kickoff here on your Cowboys pregame show. Let's get to know the enemy, brought to you by Arrow Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. It looks like the Rams going to be in the white tops tonight, so the Cowboys rocking the blue jerseys. I'm seeing Brian Schottenheimer with the visor on. He got off the bus at SoFi wearing just your run-of-the-mill snapback hat, but now he's back with the visor, and you can see him right now on the television, dapping it up and chopping it up with old Sean McVay as they get set for preseason game number 1. Just heard Shotty for the first time with Brad Sham in today's Coach's Corner, and you can tell he's fired up for sure. And this is going to be a lot of fun, especially for some of the young guys. I had Mark Bristow on Twitter asking me if you could pick one guy to really be a star in tonight's game. Is there somebody that jumps out to you? It's tough to just narrow it down to one.
I'd love one of those corners to maybe step up, maybe feel a little bit better about, I know it's a lot to ask Andrew Booth and some of these other guys to show, because it was a struggle for them the other day. The Rams went after Booth in this thing. So, but I would love for it.
What Devontae Adams did to Booth.
Yeah, I would love for
inhumane.
I'd love for Zion Childress to show up in this thing.
Me too, man.
I would absolutely. I have no problem.
Okay.
With these.
I'm sorry. It looks like we're actually going to go into the owner's box right now, live with Christy Scales and Jerry Jones.
Well, and live from the sidelines here at SoFi, and Jerry, just a few moments ago, I saw you introducing your new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, to the Rams owner, Stan Kroenke. And what is the excitement level for you with Brian making his Cowboy debut?
We had an emotional moment before we came to the field, talking about this is what I bought the ticket on, and that is first time ever after living and being around the NFL for almost 30 years. First time ever he was sitting in that head coach's chair in that dressing room. And believe you me, it was a surreal moment just for him. That's the energy or the fuel that you get to have when they've never done it before. Now I know you'd say, well, but when they've never done it before, then don't go out there and faint when the football's kicked off, which I kidded with him about. But the fact that he's never done it creates, I think, an edge and offsets not having done it before. I'm excited for him.
That's why I love preseason openers, especially because so many people are making their debuts on the coaching staff and players as well. And I want to ask you about quarterback Joe Milton, who's now number 2 on the depth chart and played for New England last year. But when Pro Personnel came to you with selling points on why to go after Milton in a trade with the Patriots, what were those selling points?
Well, it doesn't work that way. A lot of times I go to personnel and say we ought to look at him. So the point is that I really have to pinch myself that we got him. After the last game that he had up there starting there for New England, I still have to, I'm just excited that we had a chance to get him. And he hasn't disappointed. He's actually, we're just more and more encouraged by what we're seeing.
Who are some of the young guys? Let's go to defensive side of the ball. I know Shamar James at linebacker. People are excited about him. Donovan Ezeraku, your second-round defensive end from Boston College. Are those a couple of the guys that you're really looking for to manifest on the field what they've shown in practice so far, or maybe there are some others?
Well, certainly you mentioned ones that this is their first pro outing as well. And well, they did see this bunch and some pretty live stuff, not like it's going to be today, but up there last Wednesday when we had our practice. So I'm excited. We're going to have really 2 or 3 offensive linemen that we got to take some snaps just because of availability. That will be a good chance for them to get a lot of repetition and a lot of them. It's also a plus, and if everybody's healthy, if everybody's out there, you don't get but maybe 10 or 15, normally if you're a down-the-line guy. Today they'll be able to get 30 and 40 snaps. It gets different on 20, 30, 40 snaps down the road than it is those first 10 or 15.
And it's a little muggy in here compared to the cool temperatures we've had in Oxnard.
Feel real pretty. Feel real pretty, and everything's tucked in just right when you go out there the first time, and then you get in the second, third, and then you get in the fourth. And that fourth quarter is when it ain't fun anymore. You're not pretty anymore. And it's all, that's when you got to call on it real good. If you can create that type thing with reps against this type of competition, it really gives you a chance to evaluate young players.
I have to ask if there are any updates on negotiations with Micah. We know he's going to be on the sideline helping with the young guys tonight. I know you've been excited to see the way he's working with those guys. But in terms of negotiations or just what you expect from him tonight helping?
Yeah, I'm glad to see he's working out and in shape and feels great. And so all of that's good. And I don't have anything to comment on.
Speaking of looking good and tucked in and everything, so Monday night, something special, just about 20 minutes from here on Hollywood Boulevard, a premiere because the new Netflix show, America's Team, The Gambler and His Dallas Cowboys, we're really looking forward to that. Can you believe that the boy who grew up just 5 minutes from here at SoFi Stadium is going to be at his own Hollywood premiere on Monday night?
I have, it was about a mile from here, and my dad spent $400 on the house here in Inglewood. And I'll probably have double handfuls of second, third, fourth cousins. Not first, they're gone. And when I go to the reunion, they say, but we don't talk like you do out here in California. And I said, well, we didn't grow up in the same place. But it is, has always been a point of pride to realize that it all started here. My daddy worked in aircraft plants, and when they interned all Japanese Americans, actually took them to Oregon, Japanese Americans, and wouldn't let them be free in America, although we had Japanese fighting for America. They cleaned out the hothouses that raised the poinsettias for all families to send and deliver out here for their soldiers that were coming in. So my daddy took over, went halves with them, had about 4 or 5 hothouses, and raised enough poinsettias to kind of get us going, and that's why we went home. The rest of my family stayed out here for the hopes of a great life in California.
And now Pat's boy, little Jerry, on Hollywood Boulevard. Congratulations. We're looking forward to that. Thanks so much. That's the view from the owner's box here at SoFi Stadium as we continue counting down to Rams and Cowboys. Let's turn things back over to Brian and Eric.
Thank you so much, Christy. And today's view from the owner's box brought to you by Yeti, the official cooler of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. No update on Micah Parsons, but Jerry Jones in his storytelling bag, as he always is. He's in mid-season form is Jerry Jones. All right, let's see if Brad Sham's in mid-season form. I saw him in Oxnard looking good, feeling good. We go inside the booth live at SoFi Stadium coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
AT&T has a new guarantee because most things in life are not guaranteed, like getting through self-checkout by yourself.
Warning, each item must be placed in the bagging area.
Not guaranteed.
Place item in the bagging area. Place item in the bagging area.
You know what AT&T guarantees? Connectivity you depend on, deals you want, and service you deserve. Or we make it right. Terms and conditions apply. Visit att.com/guarantee for details. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Cowboys fans, SeatGeek is the only primary ticketing partner of America's Team and here to help you experience all the action this season. SeatGeek makes it easy to find the perfect seats to the perfect game, so you can be part of all the touchdown celebrations and momentum-shifting takeaways this season. Whether you're getting tickets to Cowboys games or to any other live event in DFW, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek is the official primary ticketing partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
preseason game number 1, Cowboys and Rams. Let's go inside the booth with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Brad Sham, it is a pleasure to hear your voice, my friend. How the heck are you?
I'm good, Eric. Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Love the conversation with Brian Schottenheimer, man. How do you think he's feeling right now heading into game number 1?
Oh, he's happy and upbeat and excited, but not like he'll be September 4th in Philadelphia. He's got a pretty good handle on it. I mean, he is a first-time head coach, but it's not his first rodeo. He's been doing this for a long time. So he understands the importance of priorities today. He wants to win the game, but he's got to look at players, and that's why almost none of his starters are going to play.
Yeah, who do you got your eye on tonight, man? It looks like we're going to get Joe Milton for 4 quarters. What have you seen from Joe in Oxnard?
I mean, he's got a big arm. He's incredibly athletic. You just want to see him move the team. The things that will separate a young quarterback and show you that he's ready to play are the decisions that he makes. Now, the Rams were a little fancier in their scheme in the practice on Tuesday than the Cowboys were.
Yeah.
And, they might try to confuse him a little bit. So we'll see. It's the decision. I don't care if he throws it 60 yards or 90 yards. He's not going to throw it 90 yards in a game. He's got to make good decisions. And but I think it'll be exciting to see how he handles the opportunity.
Brad, I'm interested. I was talking to somebody in the front office this morning about kind of what they're looking for. And the main thing they were talking about was improvement in the pad level and execution at the line of scrimmage. And I think it was on both sides of the ball. Did you get that feeling just watching? And I know you're kind of you're on one field, maybe not the other, but they were concerned to really how they didn't play with knee bend, and the pad level was way too high in that
Brian,
scrimmage.
That's exactly what Schottenheimer said on Wednesday or whatever the next day was that he talked, and there's no doubt. And you're right. I mean, people just have to imagine there are literally 2 football fields lined up next to each other, and it's offense versus defense on both fields. So, I chose to watch the defense at the beginning of that practice, and then I switched over to watch a little bit of the offense, then I went back. So I didn't have a first-hand look at some of that offensive line struggles that people were talking about, but the pad level unquestionably, especially with a lot of young players, is the thing they are watching, and that'll be the thing they'll critique most carefully once they get into the tape of this game after today.
Yeah, and they were also talking about the kind of the problem solving. And maybe that goes to the point that you were talking about that, hey, they're going to show maybe a little more. Maybe they're going to blitz. Maybe they're going to do this. Maybe they're going to do that. They're looking at problem solving as being a thing that, and it's on the Cowboys side of the ball, of what they need to do.
Absolutely. How do they handle it? Because Schottenheimer's very clear and what he said was, I'm just using a 7-iron.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling every club out of the bag, and that's on both sides of the ball. He's not going to let Eberflus get as fancy as he wants to be on defense. And so that's right. It's how do you handle what they throw at you? And I think one of the important things when they look at the tape of this game will be, how does even today compare to what you saw Tuesday? And then they'll go from there and try to build on it.
Brad, we're going to see a lot of rookies tonight. Is there a rookie or 2 that has jumped out at you in Oxnard?
Yeah, I think the undrafted free agent wide receiver number 7, Trayshawn Holden, is a guy who is going to play, and he's gotten better now. He's here partly because he played for the Cowboys' new receivers coach, Junior Adams, at Oregon. But this young man has gotten better every week and every day, and he's gotten to a point where he's not dropping anything. So I'm really interested in watching him, I think, on offense. And then I don't know about rookie, Eric, but on defense, their cornerbacks are a mess.
Yeah.
They're just a mess. 4 of the guys who you would project as their top 5 cornerbacks for opening day are not going to be available on opening day because of injuries. And some of that's rehab. It won't be season long, but they're not going to be available. So you got Deron Bland, and you want to see Elam, who's had a really good camp, but I think they're going to get a very long look at Robert Rochelle, who's wearing number 30. He's a veteran, spent some time with Green Bay, but he played well and had a really good year in the UFL this summer. And so that's a guy that they want to keep their eye on.
Well, Brad, we appreciate the time as always, man. Looking forward to you and Babe and Christy painting the picture for 4 quarters. Cheers to another season.
Amen, brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There he goes, voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, right here on your Cowboys pregame show.
You're off to a good start. You didn't piss him off.
I know, dude. I was trying to go, trying to take it easy here.
Preseason form already.
Come out of the gates on a good note. I feel great about that one. I'm going to drive home and feel fantastic.
I would feel good about that too.
Tonight's Brad Sham interaction. Yeah. All right, let's take it down to the turf of SoFi Stadium and get Christy Scales' keys to the game. Brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy, loved the conversation with Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
He seems like he's in his bag right now. The storytelling, he's always ready.
Yes, if you had poinsettia plants and Japanese internment camps on your bingo card for owner's box, you are a big winner in preseason game 1.
Yeah.
So, no, keys to the game, I have to tell you, it has been a moving target, guys, even game day on who's playing and who's not playing. We thought that going into today that Tyler Booker, the first-round draft pick, would be starting at right guard. But he's in uniform, but, not wearing the cleats. He's not taped up and didn't go through warm-up. So no Tyler Booker. But one player who I was hoping would get some work because he's coming off 2 seasons of knee injuries, and that's tight end John Stevens. Yeah. He's had a couple drops in practice, but he's also flashed at times too. And with that great size, what a weapon he could be in the red zone. Just as an extra precaution, John Phillips is not playing tonight. But then you have a guy like Justin Barron, who's a rookie free agent linebacker from Syracuse, who looked pretty good that first week and a half, but has missed a week of practice. He is dressed out, so he may get some work here. Deuce Vaughn at running back did go through the pregame warm-ups and stuff with, taking both first and second team snaps and the little bit that they do just before going to the locker room. So hopefully he came through that okay, and he'll get some work tonight.
Christy, I know people are asking me about Mozzie Smith. Any thought about Mozzie Smith getting some work tonight?
Yeah, Mozzie is dressed out and was going through the workouts, and I believe that he's going to be one of these guys that's going to be maybe like a 10 to 15 play kind of guy.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. And how about for Tyler Booker, Christy?
Yeah, no Tyler Booker. So
okay.
You won't have any of your starters along the offensive line. And out of the starting 11, on offense, the only guys, if you consider Hunter Lipke a starter at fullback, he's going to be one of those limited guys, maybe 10 to 15 snaps. And then, of course, Jalen Tolbert, when they go 3 wides, he's a starter. He is dressed out, and he'll get some limited work tonight.
Christy, I would like to apologize. I'm clearly in preseason form. Making you repeat yourself is not something that I wanted to do.
No, we clipped that already, Christy.
Here I am being an absolute schmo. Night 1 of the season, and I'm showing my rear end. Christy, we love you. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the game. We'll be listening.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely, my pleasure. There it is. There it is. I mean, right there at the finish line.
That, please,
and you get this thing to the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
And then you Pete Carroll fumble fart that thing, and it's an interception the other way, and you lose the Super Bowl.
She painted a clear picture of what was going to happen with Tyler Booker.
Really gut-wrenching.
No tape, no all this, and how's Tyler Booker going to go for the game?
Gosh,
Peyton, please clip that one for the
Oh, he
G-bag.
will.
Yeah,
he will.
Yeah.
That's
not
great.
Listening. Title that, not listening.
Yep, that's exactly what that was. Well, Broaddus, we appreciate everything from you.
I'm listening.
You've been totally flawless. You've been listening, and you've been in your bag. And I wish I could say the same for myself. All right, kickoff is around the corner. Brad, Babe, Christy, we'll be listening. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond on inspiration.
I hope it's an inspiration.